everyone, good evening, and welcome back to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. Today is 20th of June, and this entire video series it's brought to you by LawSikho. So now let's head to the agenda for today. For our editorial segment, we have these two articles. The first of which pertains to the RBI circular, which has recently been severely criticized because it pertains to settlement of loan recovery, or rather loan recovery by the banks with willful and otherwise also defaulters. So we're going to understand as to why there is a lot of criticism around the circular and why the authors are saying that this is misunderstood and therefore the criticism it is also channelized in a wrong direction. The second article is with respect to why the Biparjoy cyclone's path it was difficult to predict. Second segment for today's discussion would be the news update segment. And thirdly, we have a look at important legal developments of the day. So with this, let's dive into TNA, and the first point of discussion would be this article. Let's understand the issue which is involved in this article first. See, on 8th of June, the RBI it set out framework for bank settlements with defaulters and the recovery of loan. This circular, however, has been criticized because it is seen by many that since the circular it is providing for settlement by banks with willful and fraudulent defaulters. So therefore, it means that RBI it is condoning their crimes, and there is a recovery of the loans by the other banks with these defaulters via the method of settlement. So the authors they are trying to say that this is an incorrect interpretation of the circular, since the purpose of it is to provide for safeguards to protect the public interest whenever bank it is trying to arrive at a settlement with these defaulters. However, this circular it is brought to the limelight and to the forefront to bigger and deeper issues which pervade the Indian banking system, and these are the government ownership of the banks, and secondly, the weakness in the regulatory governance. We're going to understand each of these concerns later here. So a question might arise as to why should banks settle with defaulters, because of course they've willfully in certain cases fraudulently committed the default. See, post default, the bank's primary objective should be, and it is, to recover as much loan amount as it is possible for it to do. So for effective recovery, there are certain options which are available with the banks. One of which is triggering the IBC code against the borrower, and the other is pursuing or trying to persuade a compromise settlement wherein the bank and the borrower they negotiate a settlement amount. So one-time settlements, these are part and parcel of the banking system, and this is not a certain practice which is, let's say, introduced by this particular circular itself. So therefore, the authors are saying that this circular, it is simply given a formal regulatory structure to a already standardized banking practice, because this practice of arriving at one-time settlement, it has already been there in our system. On when recovering loan, the authors are now trying to address this question of or this concern of willful and fraudulent defaulters being uh, chased by the banks for the purpose of settlement. So the authors are saying that whenever there is a recovery of loan, then distinction between whether the default was willful, whether it was fraudulent or otherwise, that should not be our concern. Distinction should not be made in the first place. Irrespective of the nature of the default, the bank has to decide if the settlement, if it is better, if it is quicker than the other alternatives that are available to the bank. The sole motivation therefore should be to maximize the recovery as soon as it is possible for the bank. Now a question might arise as to what happens to the crimes that have been committed by the defaulters when the settlement process is initiated. So for this purpose, the circular specifies that banks they will undertake settlements without prejudice to the criminal proceedings underway against the debtors. So what it essentially means is that the banks are free to initiate or file cases against these defaulters. Pursuit of criminal action against a defaulter, it should not necessitate suspending commercial judgment. Now let's come to both of these concerns. First is there is government control over boards of public sector banks in our country. So why is this a problem? This is a problem because it creates a risk that the settlement process it might be misused in favor of politically connected defaulters, and this may be done at the cost of the bank's commercial interest. And therefore, it is incumbent upon the RBI that it allows commercially prudent decisions and it prevents politically motivated decisions. See, public sector banks, they have been settling such sort of dispute with the defaulters for a really long time now. So why this circular at this point in time? What does it do? The answer lies here. Two-thirds of the Indian banking system, it is owned by the government, and public sector banks, they are more likely to come under scrutiny whenever they're trying to take any action for the purpose of arriving at a settlement. So they may come under scrutiny by the investigating agency. Therefore, this circular, it gives regulatory framework or cover over settlement related decisions, and in a way it levels the playing field. Now, the second concern is this, it is regarding regulatory governance. So, a year ago, RBI's regulations review authority 2.0, it recommended that RBI place all draft instruments on its website. This is for the purpose of stakeholder consultations, so that the stakeholders, they can give their feedback for the draft, and the RBI can go through the feedback and it can address the concerns in advance. However, there are certain exceptions that are allowed from following this route. As far as the June 8th circular is concerned, there was this regulatory framework, it was not followed, and as per the authors, there seems to be no special circumstance which justify this, and there is no sort of let's say any emergency also which may justify this. So therefore, had the RBI taken this route, had it uploaded this on put it on the website, had it sought public consultation, worked on them, then it would have avoided itself of this criticism. Now, with this, let's proceed to the next segment, the next article for discussion, which is why Cyclone Biparjoy's its path was difficult to predict. Let's understand as to what is the issue involved in this article first. See, this cyclone, it struck India last week, and there was a lot of concern around this cyclone, and there was a lot of concern as to the amount of destruction that it was capable of creating. Now, see, cyclone of the sort, they are not unusual, and they hit the Indian coastline about 3 to 4 times a year. They're expected in the month of May and June, but this particular cyclone, it had some characteristics which made it potentially more dangerous and difficult to predict its path. In fact, we were expecting its landfall to be somewhere in Pakistan, and that eventually on 11th of June, it was declared that the landfall is going to be in India. So this was the amount of uncertainty that we were operating under. So now let's understand as to what is the uncertainty in path. See, cyclones, they, like any other natural calamity, they give us adequate warning of their arrival. If we see in the Indian context totally, it takes the cyclones between 4 to 5 days to reach the landmass from the North Indian Ocean, both on the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal sides. If a sufficient number of weather instruments in the meanwhile they are you made use of for the purpose of monitoring these cyclones, then their speed, intensity, trajectory, all of these can very well accurately be predicted, and we can be prepared in advance. As far as this cyclone is concerned, it developed in the cyclonic storm on 6th of June, and it made its landfall on 15th of June. So that means that it had a life period of about 10 days. The reason for its longer stay on the sea was its relatively slow speed. What made the speed slow is here, we're going to understand here. Through most of its life, it moved at a speed of 5 to 7 kilometers an hour while covering a distance of nearly 12,000 kilometers to Gujarat. As per the officials of IMD, the Indian Meteorological Department, this cyclone is sandwiched between two anticyclonic systems. One of them, it had the effect of helping its northwards movement, while the other was sort of pulling it. So what happened as a result of this were two things. First, it made its speed relatively slow, and it made its trajectory wobble. And trajectory of such cyclones, they tend to change directions frequently, and therefore we were unable to predict its trajectory. Now let's understand the uncertainties over landfall. The cyclone, it was earlier predicted to proceed towards Karachi in Pakistan, and we were expecting that, of course, the Indian coastline would have slight impact, but we were not expecting that the landfall it is going to be over Indian land. But on 11th of June, the IMD declared that the cyclone it was headed towards the northwestern Gujarat coast, and as a result, preparations were made, people were evacuated safely. See, this cyclone, got extended, and it was persistent. How? The relatively slow speed of the cyclone, it had extended till the landfall. Therefore, made the process slightly longer than the average. However, it was not extraordinary because in 1998 we saw the super cyclone of Odisha, which wherein the process had continued for nearly 30 long hours. So most cyclone they of this intensity they complete the landfall in about 3 to 4 hours. This cyclone, it took 5 hours. The slow speed, it meant that even after reaching the land, the cyclone it remained close to the sea and it was able to gather moisture and sustain itself. So usually the cyclones, whenever they reach the land, they quickly lose their energy over the land. But this particular cyclone, because it was able to sustain itself for longer, it kept moving on the land as well, and as a result, we saw on Monday the cyclone, the rain, it reached Rajasthan, Ajmer, and most parts of western and central India. It received widespread rains because of the system traveling over land. And with this, now we proceed to the next segment for today. And with this, we proceeded to the national news category for today, and this being the first update. NITI Aayog and United Nations have joined hands for the purpose of accelerating sustainable development in India. The Government of India and the United Nations, they've signed the Government of India United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for the year 2023 to 2027. This collaboration, it aims to advance India's sustainable development goals. The four pillars of this framework are people, prosperity, planet, and participation. The six key outcome areas are health and well-being, quality education, economic growth, environment and climate, and empowerment of individuals and communities. With this, let's proceed to the next update. The government of Madhya Pradesh, it is to club two wildlife sanctuaries for the purpose of creating the seventh tiger reserve of the state. Tiger State, Madhya Pradesh, it is poised to get its seventh tiger reserve, with the state government going forward with the notification of Nauradehi and Durgavati wildlife sanctuaries as a combined protected area. Let's understand some background as far as Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary is concerned. So it covers three districts in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and these are Sagar, Damoha, and Narsinghpur. It is one of the largest wildlife sanctuaries in the state, and it is classified under the Deccan Peninsula Biospheric Region. As far as Durgavati Wildlife Sanctuary is concerned, Rani Durgavati Wildlife Sanctuary, it is located in the Damoha district of the state. It is renamed after Rani Durgavati, a queen of the Gond people. The sanctuary, it was notified by the state government in the year 1996. Kerala Chief Minister has inaugurated first Infinity Center of Kerala Startup Mission in Dubai. The Chief Minister of the state inaugurated the first Infinity Center of the state, which is Kerala State Startup Mission in Dubai, rolling out a program of setting up one-step destinations across the world to strengthen the state's ecosystem for nascent companies. The Startup Infinity program, it essentially aims to unite the NRI population and to encourage them to launch their own businesses both abroad and in Kerala. Initiated with the objective of helping Kerala-based startups explore the overseas market, the centers, it seeks to make Kerala a key point of access for overseas startups to explore the Indian market. Gita Press Gorakhpur, it is selected for the Gandhi Peace Prize for the year 2021. The Gandhi Peace Prize for the year 2021, it will be conferred on Gita Press Gorakhpur. This is in recognition of its outstanding contribution towards social, economic, and political transformation through non-violent and other Gandhian methods. Gandhi Peace Prize, this is an annual award which is instituted by the Government of India in the year 1995 on the occasion of the 125th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. This was as a tribute to the ideals which were espoused by the Mahatma. This award, it is open to all persons regardless of any distinction based on nationality, race, language, caste, creed, or gender. The award, it carries a cash prize of rupees 1 crore, a citation, and handicrafts handloom items which have a traditional touch. The past awardees of this particular coveted prize have been organizations such as ISRO and Ramakrishna Mission. This has brought us to the international segment for today, the personality segment, I'm sorry, with the first update being this. Suresh Srivastava, he is unanimously elected as the vice chairman of Global UN Advocacy Body. Suresh Srivastava, a senior advocate and the Secretary General of the Indian Federation of United Nations Association, he has got unanimously elected as the vice chairman of the World Federation of United Nations Association. This federation, it is essentially association, it is global UN advocacy body, which is headquartered at the United Nations premises in New York. As the new vice chairman of this body, Srivastava, he will play a very key role in shaping the organization's policies and prioritizing as well as helping to advance its mission across the world. And now we've come to the international segment for today. This is the update with respect to World Sickle Cell Awareness Day. So, in order to create awareness about this disease, World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, it is celebrated every year on 19th of June, and the celebration has been carrying on since 2008. As far as this disease is concerned, it affects the hemoglobin level in our body in a massive way, which leads to decrease in the oxygen levels in our body. And now we've come to the last segment for today with the only update coming from the Honorable High Court of Himachal Pradesh. Maternity leave, it is a fundamental human right. Its denial, it violates Article 29, 39 of the Indian Constitution. The Himachal Pradesh High Court, it has recently reiterated that every woman, irrespective of her employment status, is entitled to maternity leave. Maternity leave, it aims to protect the dignity of motherhood and ensure the well-being of both the woman and her child. This has been held or remarked by a division bench of the High Court. The name of this particular case is State of HP versus Sita Devi. And this has brought us to an end of the TNA for today. In case you want to get access to the free study material that LawSikho provides or the TNA slides that have been used in this video, I would highly encourage all of you to please join our Telegram channel. And for the very same purpose, you may scan the barcode here or you may click on the link which is given in the description. These are the point of contacts in case you want to get in touch with LawSikho. The quiz, which is based on yesterday's TNA, it is made available in the description of this video. Thank you for being with us.